Oh will pray to you. Yeah. 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 Oh, won't you pray to the most high is there to give you strength when you need it. Pray. Looking back, we can't keep looking back, no. Looking back, we can't keep looking back, no. Looking back, we can't keep looking back, no. We'll pray, we'll pray, we'll pray, we'll pray, we'll pray, yeah. We'll pray, we'll pray, we'll pray, we'll pray, we'll pray, we'll pray, Scattered in our foreign we pray, we are the prey, Lord, we pray. Scattered in our foreign but we pray for you to keep yourself in the nighttime. Pray.
Shalom, everybody. Welcome to the night's Bible study. I appreciate everybody for coming. Before we get started, we're gonna open up with prayer. So, brothers, if you got your head covered, uncover your head, please. And sisters, if you don't have something to cover your head, get you something to cover your head. And we'll face the east and we'll pray. Let's pray. Father in heaven, Abba Yahweh, we humbly bow before your throne, Father, to say thank you. Thank you, Father, for blessing us with another opportunity to gather together to serve you, to study your word, to study your precepts, your laws, statutes, and commandments, Father. Father, we're so thankful for you blessing us with the law, because the law reveals sin. So thank you, Father, for showing us and giving us the instructions on how to be perfect, how to be vessels for honor. Father, we pray that you forgive us for all of our sins, all of our transgressions, where we have fallen short of your magnificent law, Father. We pray that you help us to magnify your law, to point out all the erroneous teachings, Father, so that we can bring glory to your name, Father, magnify your law. We pray all your creation praise you and worship you. And Father, we pray for your kingdom to come, and be set up over this earth, to destroy all of these wicked kingdoms that are now ruling, Father. We pray for your will to be done as it is in heaven on earth, Father. And we pray all these things through the blood of your son, Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. Amen. All praises to the Most High. So tonight we're going to talk about how to get your blessing. The name of the class is called Holding On to Your Blessing. All right. This is not a prosperity gospel, not a prosperity class, but we're going to talk about what real blessings are according to the Bible. So to start off, we're going to go to the book of Genesis. We're going to go to the book of Genesis and look at our forefather, Jacob. All right, Genesis chapter 25. And we're going to start at verse 21. All right, it says, and Isaac entreated the Lord, his wife, because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him. And Rebekah, his wife, conceived. So what you have here is Isaac's wife, Rebekah, could not have children. So her husband prayed to the Lord. Her husband prayed on her behalf so that she could conceive. And she did. It says, and she did conceive. All right. Verse 22, it says, and the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? If this is a blessing from the Lord, why are my children fighting in me the way that they are? And she went to inquire of the Lord. She went to talk to the prophets to ask why what was going on inside of her. Verse 23, and the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. So this was what the Lord told her. From before the children did any good or bad, it was already spoken of by the Most High God that the elder would end up serving the youngest child. This was part of their blessing, right? It says, and when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red, all over like an hairy garment, and they called him, he called his name Esau. So Esau was the eldest, right? He came out red and hairy, like a red and hairy all over, like a hairy garment, right? And his name was Esau, wasted away. It says, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old. He was 60 years old when she bare him. All right, so this is a glimpse. The fact that Esau was born first and Jacob, his heel was holding on to, his hand was holding on to Esau's heel. This is a glimpse into the blessing, the ultimate blessing that was going to come to Jacob through the Most High God. Let's see what that is. Let's go to the Apocrypha. All right, let's go to 2nd Esdras. That what I want. Let me look in my Bible real quick. Verse 7. 2nd Esdras chapter 6 and verse 7. It says, then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of time? So Esdras asked the question. He said, what's going to be the separation of one time and the beginning of another time? He says, or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. The hand of man is betwixt the heel and the hand. Other questions Esdras asked thou not. So the fact that he was holding on to Esau's heel represented that Jacob would rule second. At the end of the day, the prophecy that was told to Rebekah was going to come true by the elder serving the younger, by Jacob getting his blessing. All right, let's go back to Genesis. All right, let's go to Genesis chapter 27 now to examine the blessings. Genesis chapter 27 and verse 11 is where we'll start. All right, it says, and Jacob said to Rebekah, his mother, behold, Esau, my brother, is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. So to give some context, this is the time when Isaac was old. He knew that his days of living were coming to a close, and he was about to bless his sons. Jacob was instructed by his mother to go in to his father so that he could receive the blessing. All right, so this is what you got going on. Verse 11, it says, and Jacob said to Rebekah, his mother, behold, Esau, my brother, is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. My father peradventure will feel me, and I shall seem to him as a deceiver, and I shall bring a curse upon me, and not a blessing. And his mother said unto him, upon me be thy curse, my son. Only obey my voice and go fetch me them. Now, why does she say this? If you don't understand the story, what we read previously in Genesis 25, that the Lord had already told Rebekah what was going to happen. That's why she said, upon if what I'm telling you to do is wrong, then I'll suffer for it. Because the Lord had already told Rebekah, look, the eldest son is supposed to serve the younger. Therefore, the youngest son is supposed to get the best blessing from his father, right? This is why she's instructing him to do this, right? Verse 13, and his mother said unto him, upon me be thy curse, my son, only obey my voice and go fetch me them. And he went and fetched and brought them to his mother, and his mother made savory meat, such as his father loved. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her eldest son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob, her younger son. And she put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands and upon the smooth of his neck. All right, so she disguised her son. All right, let's jump down to verse 26. It says, and his father Isaac said unto him, come near now and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him. And he smelled the smell of his raiment and blessed him and said, see, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field which the Lord hath blessed. Therefore, God give thee the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth and plenty of corn and wine. Right. So this is his father blessing Jacob. He said, give thee the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth, meaning you're going to inherit this earth. You're going to live in good parts of the earth. When you look at where the 12 tribes are scattered, they're not scattered in bad lands at all. They're actually scattered all over the earth, but in the majority parts, we live in good parts of the earth, the majority of the tribes, right? It says, let the people serve thee and nations bow down to thee, right? So this was the blessing that was given to Jacob, that the people was going to serve him and the nations were going to bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. All right, so the blessing from Isaac to Jacob was that everybody was going to serve Jacob, right? If you curse Jacob, then you would be under a curse. The same way we get cursed today, all the nations hate us. Eventually, they're going to be under the same curses that we're under, right? Thus saith the Lord. All right, let's keep reading. It said, and it came to pass as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from hunting. And he also made savory meat and brought it unto his father, and said unto his father, let my father arise and eat his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. So you see the deceitfulness in Esau. Esau had sold his blessing. He sold his birthright previous to this account, but he was still gonna come in and try to take the birthright, the blessing that the oldest son was supposed to get, even though he sold it straight out right for a pot of stew, right? So this is the deceitfulness of Esau. He says, and Isaac his father said unto him, who art thou? And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly and said, who? Where is he that hath taken venison and brought it me? And I have eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him. Yea, he shall be blessed. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, bless me, even me also, O my father. And he said, thy brother came with subtlety and have taken away thy blessing. So he like, look, I already gave the blessing that's deserving of the firstborn away. I already gave that to your brother, and this was meat because Esau sold his blessing. He didn't get it stole from him, he sold it, right? It says and when Esau sold his blessing, that was representative of him caring more about earthly things than the things of heaven, the things from above. That's what that was representative of. Him caring more about that stew, because he said, what good is my birthright doing me at this moment? He only cared about right now, right? And Jacob had the forethought to think about the future. All right, it says, but Esau still got a blessing. All right, it says, and he said, verse 36, and he said, is he not rightly named Jacob? For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, which is a lie. You sold your birthright. All right, he said he took it away. So that's a lie. It says, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, behold, I have made him thy Lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants. And with corn and wine I have sustained him. And what shall I do unto thee, my son? And Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. All right, it says, and Isaac, his father, answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. Meaning you're gonna get some dominion, you're gonna live in good parts of the earth as well. And you're even gonna be blessed with some authority and some dominion from the Most High, right? That's why he rules this world now, because the Most High is allowing him to rule. He ruled first, and then Jacob is gonna rule last. So he said, look, you're gonna have some dew from heaven as well. He says, and by thy sword shall thou live. He said, but you're gonna kill for what you get. You're gonna live by your sword. That's why when you see Esau today, he bloodthirsty. He always ready to take something by force, right? That's why a lot of them like to be police officers, because they get to walk around all day with a gun, and they might get the opportunity to kill somebody. All right, it says, and thou shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Right, meaning eventually he would get from under us ruling while we was living on this earth as of now. Right, after we sinned and we lost the kingdom, Esau came back into power. Right, so this is the blessing being given to Esau and Jacob. All right, so let's look at how Jacob became carnally rich. Let's go to Genesis chapter 30. Because Jacob became carnally rich before he got spiritually rich. All right, Genesis chapter 30 and verse 26. All right, it says, now this is dealing with Jacob after he served Laban to be able to marry his daughters. All right, so this is where he's saying, verse 26, he says, give me my wives and my children, for whom I have served thee, and let me go, for thou knowest my service which I have done thee. So he's asking to be able to leave because he completed the obligations of his contract with Laban. He said, let me know, because you know I did what I said I was going to do. And Laban said unto him, I pray thee, if I have found favor in thy eyes, tarry, for I have learned by experience that the Lord hath blessed me for thy sake. So Laban is a good example of people that you're going to run into in this world. They're going to be people that you run into that realize that they are blessed through you, because the Lord is going to always make sure that his people are taken care of. It may be a job that you have, all right? It may be a certain friendships, right? A lot of the times people around you, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and keeping the commandments, a lot of times the people around you will pick up residual blessings from you, right? And that's what was going on with Laban, and Laban understood this. He said, it says, and Laban said unto him, I pray thee, if I have found favor in thine eyes, tarry, stay here, for I have learned by experience that the Lord hath blessed me for thy sake. And he said, appoint me thy wages and I will give it. So Jacob had to be spiritual in his decision making. Laban basically said, name your price. Tell me whatever it is going to take for you to stay here with me so that I can give it to you, and then you do what I need you to do. But Jacob had to have forethought. He had to trust in the Lord. It says, and he said unto him, thou knowest I have served thee, and how thy cattle was with me, for it was little which thou hadst before I came, and it is now increased unto a multitude. And the Lord hath blessed thee since my coming. And now, when shall I provide for my own house also? Right? So this is spiritual, right? Jacob saying, look, I blessed you. I made you to increase. What you had was a little before I came, but I got to start thinking about my own house, right? I got to start thinking about how I'm going to make sure that mine are straight. And that's the mindset that we have to have as God's people, as servants of the Most High. We have to start thinking about the bigger picture, right? You need things in this life. And we're going to get to that. We're going to show you how to get the things that you need. And we're going to show you what you do need, because we don't need a bunch of material things, right? Sometimes that's only for a specific purpose, right? Which we'll see in this account, right? It says, let's keep reading. It says, and he said, what shall I give thee? And Jacob said, thou shalt not give me anything. If thou wilt do this thing for me, I will again feed and keep thy flock. So he said, don't give me nothing, right? He said, I'm going to keep your flock again, because the Lord had already told Jacob something. He said, I will pass through all thy flock today, removing from thence all the speckled and spotted cattle, and all the brown cattle among the sheep, and the spotted and speckled among the goats, and of such shall be my hire. Now, when you think about sheep and goats, they usually ain't spotted and speckled. You usually got white sheep. You don't have a lot of brown sheep. You don't have a lot of speckled goats. So to Laban, it looked like he was finna get over on Jacob again. He's seen an opportunity to get over on him again and keep him there longer, to make him have to rely on him, right? But the Lord had told Jacob already. He said, so shall my righteousness answer for me in time to come, right? So he said, look, me trusting in the Lord, me keeping the commandments of the Most High is going to be what makes me the benefit, right? He said, when it shall come for my hire before thy face, everyone that is not speckled and spotted among the goats and brown among the sheep, that shall be counted stolen with you. So he like, look, if it ain't spotted or speckled or brown, that'll be yours, right? He said, and Laban said, behold, it might be according to the. He like, okay, of course we can do that, because you're gonna come out on the short end of the stick. So he thought. It said, and he removed that day the he goats that were ring straight and spotted, and all the she goats that were speckled and spotted, and everyone that had some white in it, and all the brown among the sheep, and gave them into the hand of his sons. And he set 3 days' journey betwixt himself and Jacob fed the rest of Laban's flock. And Jacob took rods of green poplar and the hazel of chestnut tree, and peeled white strakes in them, and made the white appear which was in the rods, right? So the Lord had shown him some chemistry in a dream on how to breed the type of sheep that he wanted to breed, right? So he showed him some chemistry right here. It says, and he set the rods which he had peeled before the flocks in the gutters, in the watering troughs, when the flocks came to drink, that they should conceive when they came to drink. So he basically mixed up an aphrodisiac for animals, right? The Lord showed him this in a dream, how to make these animals breed, right? It says, and the flocks conceived before the rods, and brought forth cattle ring straight, speckled, and spotted, right? So he gave him a blessing that was out of the ordinary, something that people wouldn't normally look to even receive. Because when you normally think about sheep, you think about white sheep. A black sheep is a weird thing, right? So he presented a blessing to Jacob in a way that nobody else was going to be looking for it, right? He says, and Jacob did separate the lambs and set the face of the flocks toward the ring straight, and all the brown in the flock of Laban. And he put his own flocks by themselves, and put them not unto Laban's cattle. And it came to pass, whensoever the stronger cattle did conceive, that Jacob laid the rods before the eyes of the cattle in the gutters, that they might conceive among the rods. But when the cattle were feeble, he put them not in. So the feebler were Laban's, and the stronger were Jacob's. And the man increased exceedingly, and had much cattle, and maid servants, and men servants, and camels, and asses. So this is how Jacob got carnally rich, materially rich, right? The wisdom that the Lord gave him to be able to understand, right? Now let's jump over. Let's see why the Lord did this. Let's see why he blessed him this way. Let's go to Genesis chapter 32. And we're going to start at verse 9. All right, it says, and Jacob said, oh my God, oh God of my father, Abraham. Right, let me see if I want to start. All right, so what you got going on is now Jacob is leaving. He took all his possessions and he's leaving from Laban, right? But on the way out, he's seen what? In verse 3, and Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau, his brother, unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom. Right, so he's coming out and he ran into his brother. He knew he was coming into his brother's path. It's right. It says, and he commanded them, saying, thus shall you speak unto Esau, unto my lord Esau, thy servant Jacob saith thus, I have sojourned with Laban and stayed there unto now. And I have oxen and asses and flocks and men servants and women servants. And I have sent to tell my Lord that I may find grace in thy sight. All right, he said, so this is what he said. So this is what I want you to tell Esau. He telling his messenger to tell these things to Esau. I got all these material things, because he know how Esau think. Esau cares about material things, right? It says, verse 6, and the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, we came to thy brother Esau, and also he cometh to meet thee, and 400 men with him. They out ready to kill people, right? He says, then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that was with him, and the flocks and herds, and the camels, into 2 bands, and said, if Esau come to the one company and smite it, then the other company which is left shall escape. And Jacob said, O God, my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, the Lord which saidest unto me, return to thy country and to thy kindred, and I will deal well with thee. So now he's in prayer. He said, I am not worthy of the least of all the mercies and of all the truth which thou hast showed unto thy servant. For with my staff I passed over this Jordan, and now am become two bands. Deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he will come and smite me, and the mother with the children. Right, and the same mentality Jacob had back then is the same mentality we still have today. When we see Esau, especially when he got a gun and a badge, we get scared. Because we know that it's in this man's power because of the blessing that the Lord gave him. He said that you're going to rule by the sword. So when we see him, we get afraid. This is how you know this is our forefather, right? He said, deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he will come and smite me, and the mother with the children. He'll kill me, the women, and the children. Right? That's the way we look at him. Right? Understand, it said, and thou saidest, I will surely do thee good, and make thy seed as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. And he lodged there that same night, and took that which came to his hand, a present for Esau his brother. So he looked at his worldly possessions and he said, I know the mentality of this man. Let me use these material blessings that the Lord gave me to save my life. Right? He was willing to, let's look at what he gave us. It said 200 she-goats and 20 he-goats. Right? It says 200 ewes, right? And 20 rams, 30 milk camels with their coats, 40 kine, and 10 bulls, 20 she asses, and 10 foals. That's a lot of money. He just was willing to lose for the sake of saving the life of himself and his family. So this shows us something. Sometimes the Lord will bless you with material things for the benefit of saving your life later, because he wants you to get to the real blessing. The material things that you might get blessed with in this life ain't what it's all about. Sometimes that's to set up the next move, like it was with Jacob. All right, it says, and he delivered them into the hands of his servants. Every drove by themselves, and said unto his servants, pass before me, and put a space betwixt drove and drove. And he commanded the foremost, saying, when Esau my brother meeteth thee and asketh thee, saying, whose art thou, and whither goest thou, and whose art these before thee? Then thou shalt say, they be thy servants Jacob's. It is a present sent unto my lord Esau. And behold, also he is behind us. So he used what he had to butter his brother up so that he could save his life. Right? It says, and so commanded he the second and the third, and all that followed the drove, saying, and on this manner shall ye speak unto Esau when ye find him. Right? He says, and say ye moreover, behold, thy servant Jacob is behind us. For he said, I will appease him with the present that goeth before me, and afterward I will see his face. Pre-adventure he will accept of me. All right. It says, so went the present before him, and himself lodged that night in the company. All right. It says, and he rose up that night and took his 2 wives and his two women servants and his 11 sons, and passed over the ford of Jabbok. And he took them. Right. So he was willing to lose what he had gotten, the material blessings that he had gotten, just to save himself and his family. Right. It says, and he took them and sent them over to the brook, and sent over that he had. And Jacob was left alone. And there he wrestled a man with him until the break of the day. So now he's about to receive his spiritual blessing. Now he's wrestling, he's fighting an angel. Right? He wrestled with a man. He wrestled with him until the breaking of the day. Right? He says, and when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he said, so you got to understand what's going on. He's in pain now. The angel just put his thigh out of joint. All because Jacob knows that he got something greater waiting on him from the Most High. Right? He's willing to go through this pain. Right? He said, verse 26, and he said, let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go except thou bless me. So you got to understand what's being said here. He said, let me go, for the day breaketh. Let me stop, release me before this day break. And he said, I will not let thee go except thou bless me. What's going to happen when the day break? What is the light representative of? Right? Let's go to Proverbs. What is the light representative of? This day breaking. Proverbs chapter 6 and verse 23. It says, for the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. So the light represents the law, right? What is this man saying ultimately? Let's go to Matthew 28 and verse 19. It says, go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and in the Son and of the Holy Ghost, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Amen. So this is what Yahweh Shai told us to do as his disciples, to go and spread the light, illuminate the whole world, the day breaking forth, right? So you got to get your blessing before this happens. You got to realize what your blessing is, right? You got to understand what your blessing is, what you designed to inherit before this happens. Because when this happens, it's too late. At this point, the whole world has had the opportunity to know right from wrong. And they either accepted it or they refused it, right? So let me show you how to get what you need. Because I wanna go ahead, Eleazar.
No, I just want you to expound on the precept that I had. It's John 9 and 4.
Let's go to it. All right, it says, I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night coming when no man can work. Right. So that's so this the one when he said, are there not
Said
12 days?
24 hours in a day.
Is this the one? No, but this is a good one. Right. So he said, I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. Right. Because the day of Yahweh, like you brought out in the class you taught, the day of Yahweh is gonna be a dark day, right? Because it's gonna it ain't gonna be nobody teaching the law at that time. Ain't gonna be nobody teaching the law. It's gonna go directly from light to dark. Nobody's gonna be teaching the law. You're gonna had your opportunity to learn, right? He said, as long as I'm in the world, I am the light of the world, right? Because this is your opportunity to learn. The law is being taught because Yahweh Shah is the law. He is and we're gonna touch on that, right? That's a good point. That's a good point. So right now is our opportunity to be learning how to get our blessing, to be learning how to get our inheritance. But first, I'm gonna show you how to get the chief things in life. But first, what are the chief things? Let's go to Sirach. Because what do we all need? Because some people might think that they need a big house, they need several cars, they need a lot of clothes, but not according to the Bible. Let's go to Sirach or Ecclesiasticus chapter 29 and verse 21. All right, it says, the chief thing for life is water and bread and clothing and an house to cover shame. So this is what everybody needs. Chief things mean the main things, right? This is what each and every one of us need. Water, food, clothing, and a house so that we can live in. That's all we need. So how do you get these things? Let's go to Matthew. Matthew chapter 6 is where we'll start in verse. We'll start at verse 30. All right, it says, wherefore, if God so clothe the grass of the field, which today is, and tomorrow is cast into the oven, shall he not much more clothe you, O ye of little faith? Right. So he's saying, look, the grass is gonna get cut and burnt, but he makes sure that it has what it needs to grow. Aren't you more important than this grass? You just got little faith, right? He says, therefore take no thought, saying, what shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or wherewithal shall we be clothed? Because everybody that's in this class, none of y'all are starved to death. Everybody nobody here is starved to death, or you wouldn't be in this class. Right. So he said, the Lord gonna make sure that you eat. Don't worry about these things. Right. He says, for after all these things do the Gentiles seek, for your heavenly Father. So Esau didn't have this mentality of trusting in the Most High. He was worried and concerned about what he was gonna eat. That's why he said, for after all these things do the Gentiles seek, for your heavenly Father knoweth that ye have need of all these things. He created you, so he knows what it is that you need, right? He says, but seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. That take therefore no thought for tomorrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Tomorrow gonna have his own problems. Tomorrow gonna have his own set of things to worry about, right? It's best that you do what's in this verse first. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, right? And all these things shall be added unto you, right? Let's go from there. Let's go to Philippians. Let's look at how we're going to seek the kingdom. Let's go to Philippians chapter 4 and verse 6. All right, it says, be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God. So don't be afraid to ask the Most High for what you need, is what he's saying. But in everything, in prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, that part is important. We got to be thankful for the times that the Most High has provided for us. It's good to remind the Most High of what he's done for you already. It's just like a child that come in from playing and he say, I want some juice. And you get a little child some juice and he drank the juice up and don't even say thank you, and he run back out the door. And then you got another child that come in and he say, I'm thirsty. Can you give me something to drink? You might offer him some, what you want, some water? You want some juice? Got some pineapple juice? Got some apple juice? You're gonna want to offer him more because he's just thankful to get anything. And that's the way we gotta be. That's the way we have to be as servants of the Most High with our Father in heaven. We can't be so ungrateful because he provided for us when we was wicked. So how much more so now that we actually seeking the kingdom? We're seeking his righteousness. We're trying to keep the laws and statutes and commandments. Right? It says, and the peace of God, which passes all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, who the world calls Jesus Christ. He says, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. So thinking on these things, going into praying for these things, right? These are, if what you asking for is a good, honest thing, right? If what you asking for is a true thing, because you got to remember, if you ask, let's go to James. Let's go to James real quick. If as long as what you asking the Most High for is in alliance with his will, you're gonna get it, right? It says, James chapter 1 and verse 6, it says, but let him ask in faith. When you ask the Most High for what you need, you got to ask in faith, nothing wavering, meaning you can't doubt. Is he going to give it? You should know if what you asking for is a righteous thing. First of all, is it one of the chief things, right? Is it, what was I at? Sirach 29 and verse 21. Is it one of these things? The chief things in life? Water, bread, and clothing, and a house to cover thy shame? Because the Lord know you need these things. You're a human being. So if you asking for any of these, you should be asking in faith, because he said these are the chief things in life, right? He said, if you would ask for something, ask in faith, not wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed, because you're going to start doubting the Lord. To doubt the Lord is sin, right? It says, for let not that man think he shall receive anything of the Lord, right? So if you're going to doubt, you might as well not even get on your knees and pray, because you already doubting. You questioning the sovereignty of the Most High God at this point. Right. So from there, let's go to Psalms. I'm going to show you how to get the chief things in life, how to get what you need. And most high willing, I'm going to show you how to get some of the things you even want, some of the things you think you want. All right, let's go to Psalms chapter 34 and verse 9. All right, it says, oh, fear the Lord, ye his saints, for there is no want to them that fear him. Right? It says the young lions do lack and suffer hunger, but they that seek the Lord shall not want any good thing. You understand that? Literally there are lions that starve. You might think of a lion in that, oh, it's a good hunter. They roll in prides, right? They don't starve. It's all these gazelles and wildebeests out there, but they go through starvation. A lot of young lions don't make it to adulthood because they starve to death. You understand? So he said, but ye that seek the Lord shall not want any good thing. How do you seek the Lord? Let's go to Isaiah. How do you seek the Lord? Because he just told you, if you seek the Lord, you're not gonna want any good thing. You're gonna have what you need. Let's go to Isaiah 34:16. It says, seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. No one of these shall fail, none shall want her mate. For my mouth it hath commanded, and his spirit it hath gathered them. Right? So this is how you seek the Lord. Opening up this Bible and reading. Studying the prophecy, studying the laws, so that you can make sure that you're not in sin. Studying the promises that the Lord has already made for us. Right? It says them that fear, it says there is no want in them that fear the Lord. Because first of all, your brothers and sisters help you. But you gotta let some, if you, especially if you doing what the Bible says, you know you're an Israelite, you know you're supposed to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, and you're doing that, and you're gathering. Let's go to it. Let's go to Zephaniah. Because this is what you should be doing. This is the purpose of us having these Bible studies. Right? It says, gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired. So this is what we instructed to do, to gather together. So that if there is a brother or a sister that needs something, your brother, your brother, your sister that has more or an abundance, or they're able to give, they can help you. But you gotta ask, and you gotta ask in faith, not sitting there twiddling your thumbs. I just ain't gonna say nothing. Knowing you need help, knowing that you need food, and you ain't gonna say nothing because you got pride. You can't be like that. You gotta gather. This is the purpose of gathering with your people, right? Because let's go real quick to Sirach. Because you're supposed to help a godly man. That's a commandment. Let's go to Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus chapter 12 and verse 4. What that say? Give to the godly man. So we're instructed to give to the godly. A godly man or a godly woman is somebody that's trying to keep the commandments, that knows they're Israelite, and they striving to do what the Most High said. It say give to that person and help not a sinner. Right? It says do. So you ain't supposed to give to nobody that's not godly. You ain't supposed to just go around just giving and helping just anybody. You're supposed to give to somebody that's mindful of the Lord. All right, our forefathers understood this. Let's go to Tobit real quick. We're going to come right back here. Let's go to Tobit. Hold on, let me look in my Bible. Let's go to Tobit chapter 4 and verse 16. We're going to come right back. Right? It says, verse 16. It says, I'm going to start at 15. It says, do to no man which thou hatest. Drink not wine to make thee drunken. Neither let drunkenness go with thee in thy journey. So he said, treat people how you want to be treated, right? Give of thy bread to the hungry, and of thy garments to them that are naked. So you're supposed to give the people that, you're supposed to feed people that's hungry. You're supposed to clothe people that ain't got clothes. And according to thy abundance, give alms. Alms is you giving general. It could be money. It could be clothing, it could be food, whatever it is that you got to give, right? It says, and according to thine abundance, give alms, and let not thine eye be envious when thou givest alms. Pour out thy bread on the burial of the just, but give nothing to the wicked. So you don't want to give to the wicked. You want to give to the just, the people that are trying to serve the Lord, because the Lord could be using you. You could be the arm that the Lord is using to help that person who just made a prayer, to ask the Most High for something. So if the Most High put it on your spirit to give, you need to first make sure that that's a person that's mindful of the Lord, right? Don't just give to anybody, right? Let's jump over to verse chapter 2. Because he said the same thing. Chapter 2 chapter 2 and verse 2. All right, it says, and when I saw the abundance of meat, I said to my son, go and bring what poor man soever thou shalt find out of our brethren. So your people, right? An Israelite who is mindful of the Lord. And lo, I tarry for thee. So don't just be helping just anybody. Yes, you're supposed to bless people, but you're supposed to bless people that are mindful of the Lord. Wow, let's go back to Sirach. Sirach chapter 12. And verse 4 again, it says, give to the godly man and help not a sinner. Do well unto him that is lowly, but give not to the ungodly. It don't matter how poor they is. It don't matter how many holes they got in their socks. The Bible say, give to him that's lowly, but not to the ungodly. Hold back thy bread and give it not unto him, lest he overmaster thee thereby. Why? Because he'll figure out that you a kind-hearted person and keep asking you, right? And next thing you know, you need help. It says, for else thou shalt receive twice as much evil for all the good thou shalt have done unto him. For the Most High hateth sinners. This is why you're supposed to give to a godly man or a godly woman, because the Most High hates sinners. He says, and will repay vengeance unto the ungodly and keepeth them against the mighty day of their punishment. Give unto the good and help not a sinner. So a lot of the people that you see that's going through it, the Lord want them to go through what they're going through. Because why? It said, because that's their punishment. So you got to ask yourself, that's what self-examination comes in. Because the Bible say, seek first the kingdom and his righteousness, and you will have what you need. Ask for what you need in faith, and you're going to get it. So if you don't have what you need, you got to ask yourself, am I doing those things? Because if not, it may be because you're being punished. So that's what self-examination comes in. Go ahead, Eleazar.
Hey, I see how the Most High put emphasis on that thing. He said it twice, man. And this situation, like, this was something that I struggled with, man, because if you got a heart to help people, even Esau, I used to want to help them, but it took me to have to understand this, that you can't just give to everybody. So I noticed that it said in verse 4 and in verse 7. So it's something we do need to pay attention to. Well, that was all, Ken.
And that's what a lot of people struggle with, because as a human being, you're sympathetic, empathetic, and you feel a lot of times you done been through what somebody else is going through. So you have a tendency to relate, and you have a tendency to want to help. But we gotta be spiritual in everything, even when we trying to help people, even when we feeling bad for people, because some people deserve the evil that has come upon them. God is great in mercy, and he is great in judgment. So that's why he's first a good way to test is keep your sword with you. All right. If it's on your spirit to give to somebody or help somebody, you go out and you take this Bible with you. And if that person is willing to listen to the Bible, help them, because they showing that, if first of all, they your people. And if they your people, they're Israelite, a so-called Black, Hispanic, or Native American, and they willing to listen to the Bible, by all means, help that person. Share with them some of the notes from this class on how to get the things that they need. But if they be like, I don't want to hear that, I experienced that for the last 2 days when I went out. It was several people that were saying that they needed things. And I was trying to show them in the Bible how to get what they needed, but they refuse to hear what the Bible had to say. I'm a giving person myself. If they would have listened, I could have came back and gave them some things that would have helped them out. But because you never know who can help you, is my point. So you always want to be mindful of the Lord. You always want to be mindful of what it is that he wants from you. All right, so I'm gonna show you something else. Let's go to Psalms. Let's go back to Psalms, because I'm gonna show you how to get the material things that you need, right? Let's go to Psalms chapter 37. The Bible tells you, the Bible doesn't hide anything good. The Lord wants you to know, right? It says, verse 3, Psalms 37 and verse 3. It says, trust in the Lord and do good. What's good? How do you do? Because good ain't just baking cookies, and good ain't what we say it is. The Bible tells us what's good. Let's go to Romans real quick. What's good? It says Romans 7 and 12. Wherefore the law is holy and the commandment holy and just and good. So the law is what's good. So that's what he's telling you in Psalms 37. Trust in the Lord and keep the law and do good. If you do that, so shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. He's saying, look, if you just keep the law, you will have the things that you need. All you got to do is keep the law, keep the commandments, and the Lord is going to make sure that you get you're going to dwell in the land, you're going to inherit the kingdom, and you'll get what you need. You'll, in the meantime, that's what he's telling you, right? Let's jump to verse 4. He says, now, delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. So this verse 3 and verse 4 is completely different. Verse 3 and verse 4 is completely different. Verse 3 is telling you, do what's necessary. Keep the law, because he told you to do it, and he'll give you what you need. If you want the desires of your heart, you gotta delight yourself in the Lord, meaning you gotta love to keep the law. This gotta be the main thing that you want to wake up and do every single day, is keep the law, study the Bible, meditating on the scriptures day and night. He just told you how to get the things that you want. He told you how to get what you need and how to get what you want in 2 verses, in the same chapter, in the same book. So it's simple. There's simplicity in the King, man. It's simplicity in Yahawashi. He don't want it to be hard. He wants you to understand and for it to be simple for you, right? But a lot of times you might, why don't you get what you need a lot of times? Let's go to James. You say, I'm keeping the law. I'm asking for what I need. Why I'm not getting it? Well, this is why. James chapter 4. Right? He says, I'm going to start at verse 2. He say, ye lust and have not. Meaning you wanting something, but you ain't got it. Ye kill and desire to have and cannot obtain. Ye fight and war, yet ye have not, because ye ask not. Because I remember before I came in the truth, man, this verse say a lot. I would do so much scheming, commit so many crimes, get over on so many people, and I would get the money. The money would be in my hand, but I would spend it on foolish things. It's like it fall through my hand like sand. And that's a lot of people today. A lot of y'all might even be experiencing that. You come across a lot of money. I done touched a lot of money in my lifetime. And I don't have anything to show for most of it. It's because this is why. It say you ask and receive not, because you ask amiss, meaning you want the money for the wrong reasons. You want a house for the wrong reason. You want clothes for the wrong reason. You want to eat out and eat not stuff that you don't have to eat. You want to show out. It says that ye may consume it upon your lust, because you want these things for the wrong reason. So you might say, well, I'm keeping the law. I don't see where I'm sinning at, but your heart still ain't right. Your mind still ain't right. The Lord ain't giving you some of these things because he know what you're going to do when you get it. It's going to take you further away from the truth than closer to it, right? So God, because keep in mind, understand this about the Most High. He is the God. He can do, let's get it. He can do way He can do way more for you than what you even expect. Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 9 and verse 8. It's not like he can't give it to you, right? It says, as it is, it says, and God is able. It says, and God is able to make all grace abound towards you, that ye always having all sufficiency in all things may abound to every good work. What is good? Romans 7 and 12, the law. So the Lord will bless you to and give you a more than enough of what you need. And a lot of times it's so that you can give on, so that you can help somebody else in need. Most of the time when you get an abundance or a surplus of money, it ain't for you to just sit back and say you got it. It's for you to consider your people. It's for you to consider somebody else that's in need. Or if you got a surplus in food, you got a lot of clothes, whatever it is, you might not always be able to help somebody financially, but you should be always looking to be able to help somebody. That's the reason why you got more than what you need. It ain't so that you can sit up and have it. It's so that you can help your brother that's in need, help your sister that's in need. So God is able. He's able to he can give you whatever you want, whatever you need, and more than what you want, and more than what you even asked for, right? So you got to understand that about the Most High, right? So let's go real quick. So that's how you get what you need from God. We just showed you in the Bible how to get what you need. If you do those things, you will have what you need. Don't have a spirit of pride. Be willing to ask for help. Be willing to help your brother or sister. If you got a surplus, keep the commandments, and the Lord is going to make sure that you provide it for it. Simple. That's how you get what you need, right? But what does the Most High want us to learn in the process of these things? Let's go to Leviticus. All right, let's go to the law. Leviticus chapter 25, and we're going to start at verse 1. All right, it says, and the Lord spake unto Moses in Mount Sinai, saying, speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, when ye come into the land which I give you, then shall the land keep a Sabbath unto the Lord. So he said, when y'all come into the promised land, I want y'all to get a land of Sabbath. It says, 6 years thou shalt sow thy field, and 6 years thou shalt prune thy vineyards, and gather in the fruit thereof. But in the 7th year shall be a Sabbath of rest unto the land. So he said, look, for the first 6 years when y'all get there, you can plant, you can sow, you can gather, you can do what you got to do. But the 7th year, don't sow the land. Get a land of rest, right? It says, thou shalt neither sow thy field nor prune thy vineyard. Don't touch the land. Don't bother it. I want it to rest, right? It says, that which groweth of his own accord of thy harvest, thou shalt not reap. So he said, look, whatever grows on its own, because it's going to grow anyway, whether you tend to it or not, I don't want you to gather that in. Neither gather the grapes of thy vine undressed, for it is the year of the rest unto the Lord of the land. And the Sabbath of the land shall be meat for you, for thee, and for thy servant, and for thy maid, and for thy hired servant, for thy stranger that sojourneth with thee. What is that? It says, and for thy cattle, and for the beasts that are in the land, shall all the increase thereof be meat. What does that mean? That means whatever. I don't want you to gather and try to stockpile anything on the Sabbath, but you can eat what you need that year. That's what he's saying. You can feed your animals, you can feed your servants, you can feed the stranger that living with you at that time. I want y'all to eat, but don't be gathering it all in and stockpiling it that year. A lot of people didn't have the faith to complete that. We didn't keep and he said it later. He's like, y'all didn't keep the Sabbaths for the land. Y'all didn't do what I asked y'all to do, and it all boiled down to faith. That's why a lot of us don't give to people. That's why a lot of us are unwilling to help our brother. We'll see a brother need something and won't help him, won't do nothing to help him. And you know he mindful of the Lord. You know she come to the classes, she's studying, she trying her best to keep the commandments. You will see she needs you and that you can help her, but you don't have the faith to help. So helping people takes faith. Doing what the Lord says has faith, takes faith, right? What's the purpose? Because it ain't that the Lord ain't gonna do for us. We the ones that keep us from getting what we need, right? Understand that. Let's go to Jeremiah. We the ones that prevent us from getting the things that we need. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 25. Jeremiah chapter 5, Salaki, and verse 24. Right? It ain't because the Lord don't provide for us that we don't get what we need. Right? It says, verse 24, neither say they in their heart, let us now fear the Lord, our God. That fear the Lord means to hate evil. That we don't say, let us hate this evil thing, let us do what the Lord say. That's what he's saying about us. He said that let us now fear the Lord our God, that giveth rain, both the former and the latter, in his season. He reserveth unto us the appointed weeks of the harvest. So the Lord already, the way to look at this is the Lord has already set up provisions for you to be blessed. He already got that person that's finna cross paths with you that can help you, that could reference you for a job, that could show that got a car they want to give away to somebody, that been on their spirit to hand somebody $100. He already got that person on the way to cross paths with you. It says he reserveth unto us the appointed weeks of the harvest. That's your blessings. He already got your blessings reserved for you. He said, but what? Your iniquities, your sins have turned away these things, and your sins have withholding good things from you. A lot of us, if you don't got what you need, it's because of you. It's your fault, because the Lord already set it up for you to have it. He already got that reserved for you. Just like any loving father would have it reserved for their children to make sure that they're taken care of. He want to give it to you. It say, but your sins have withholding good things from you. He can't give it to you if you sinful. All right, God don't break his promises. Let's go to Psalms 89. Psalms 89 and verse 34. He already promised to you, if you seek the kingdom first, you're going to have what you need. If you delight yourself in the Lord, you'll get the abundant, you'll get the desires of your heart. So he ain't a man that he should lie. All right, Psalms 89 and verse 34. It says, my covenant will I not break, nor alter the thing that is gone out of my lips. So it ain't his fault, because he ain't gonna break his covenant. He ain't gonna change the thing that he already spoke. That's what makes him God. The fact that he tells the end from the beginning. That's what makes him the Most High. So he ain't gonna change what he said. It's just that your sins is holding it back. He can't give it to you yet. Let's go to Isaiah. The book of Isaiah, chapter 65. And verse 2. What the Lord say? He say, I spread out my hands all the day unto a rebellious people, which walketh in a way that was not good. Good is the law. So if you walking in a way that's not according to the law, then you walking after your own thoughts. You doing what you want to do. You trying to get it your way. You trying to do it the way that you see fit. All right, he says, a people that provoke me to anger continually to my face, that sacrificeth in the gardens and burneth incense upon altars of brick, which remain among the graves. Right, that's spiritual. You remain among the graves. You hang around the congregation of the dead. Instead of hanging around God's people, instead of being around the people that want to serve the Lord, you want to stand in the way of sinners. It say, enlarging the monuments, which eat swine's flesh and broth of abominable things in their vessel. A lot of us we've been studying for a while, and we still eating unclean food on the low. Is you gonna eat that unclean food when you feel like you're starving? Because if you don't trust in the Lord now, you probably will in the day of Jacob's trouble. However many days it lasts. Because we say the day of Jacob's trouble, but it might be years. We don't know. So now is the time. Now is the time to be building up your faith so that you can be ready when it's game time. Right? So God don't break promises, man. Let's look at some of the promises. Let's look at what he promised you. He showed you how to get it. So he showed you how to get the carnal things in life, the things that you can reach out and touch. But what is really your blessing? Let's go to Revelation. What is the thing that you should be looking forward to? Because just like our forefather Jacob, you got to be willing to lose all this. You got to be willing to go without food. You got to be willing to lose your house, all your substance, all your abundance. You got to be willing to lose that to save your life. Just like Jacob, he was an example for us. He was willing to lose all that to be able to save himself and his family. So that ain't your blessing. That's just to get you to the blessing. The food that you eat in the day, the house that you live in, the clothes on your back, all that's just to get you to where we going. This the real blessing. Let's go to Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9. He say, I know thy works and tribulation and poverty. The Lord is telling us, Yahweh Shai, he said, look, I know you got just enough to get by. I know that you in poverty, even some of y'all. Even though you got the chief things in life, you might even have to beg a little bit. I know you going through it. He said, I know that, right? He said, but thou art rich. You might not have a lot of money, but you rich, spiritually speaking. And I know the blasphemy and I know the lies of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan, because the so-called Jewish man has stolen your right, your ability to provide for yourself. That's why he owns all the banks. He owns all the television networks. He owns you for the most part. Until you break free out of this world, he still owns you. Until you come back to the law, statutes, and commandments, he even owns you. You got to understand that. He said, but thou art rich. How are you rich? Let's go to the book of James. He said, I know you going through it right now, but really you rich. Let's go to James chapter 2. In verse 5, he say, hearken, my beloved brethren, have not God chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith, and heirs of the kingdom, which he hath promised to them that love him? That's who God chose. He chose, because sometimes when you got everything you need, you ain't gonna, let's get it, you ain't gonna seek the Lord the way you're supposed to. Let's go to Hosea. Hosea chapter 5 and verse 15. He says, I will go and return to my place till they acknowledge their offense and seek my face. Until we open up this Bible and read, the Lord say, I'm out, right? And when we gonna seek them? In their affliction, they will seek me early. So the Lord had to make you poor. He had to make you be going through, just barely getting by, right? He said, have not God chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith? Because at one time we had it. We was the kings of the earth. Our women were the princesses. Our women was getting carried around. Their feet didn't touch the ground. But he had to make us poor. All of this was so that we could understand that we need him, right? That's the whole purpose of it. Let's go real quick. Let's look at something, man. Let's go to 2nd Ezra, chapter 3. And we're going to go to verse 19. It says, and thy glory went through the 4 gates of fire and of earthquake and of wind and of cold, that thou mightest get. This is all of these, the 4 gates, fire, earthquake, wind, and of cold. That's all that was going on when the Lord spoke to Moses. He spoke through them. Those are gates of speech for the Most High, right? He says that thou mightest give the law unto the seed of Jacob and diligence unto the generation of Israel. And yet tookest thou not from them a wicked heart, that thy law might bring forth fruit in them. See, the Lord could have just he could have just made you do what he wanted you to do, but that would defeat the purpose. The purpose was for you to understand and realize that you need the Most High. He wants you to, what he wants you to get is that you have to rely on him. It's been his purpose from the beginning. It says, and yet thou tookest not away from them a wicked heart, that thy law might bring forth fruit in them. I want y'all to understand what's going on, man. Let me open up another Bible. He said that thy law might bring us forth fruit in them. Who is the law? What is he saying? John 1:1. It says, in the beginning was the word, and the word was with God. In the beginning, the law has always been here. It says, in the beginning, the law was with the Most High, Yahweh, and the word was God, right? It says, and the same was in the beginning with God, and all things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. So what is he telling us? He's telling us that Yahweh Shai is the law, and that by the law, everything was created. So that's been his purpose from the very beginning. And like we just read in Psalms 89:34, God don't break his promises. He ain't gonna change the thing that was uttered from his mouth. From the beginning, he wanted the law to create, right? Let's go real quick, the Psalms. Because what does the law do? The law creates, and the law does something else too. Psalms chapter 19 and verse 7. This is the purpose of this is God's purpose, man. Psalms 19 and verse 7, it says, the law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. So the law is what's going to change you. He don't want to hit a switch and say, now they're different. That ain't how it's going to work. It ain't going to work like that in the wilderness. The law is what's going to change us. That's been the purpose from the beginning. Let's go to Colossians real quick. Colossians chapter 1. In verse 15. It says, who is the image of the invisible God? This is talking about Yahweh Shai, who the world calls Jesus, the firstborn of every creature. That's how we know that he is the law. It says that because it said the word was with him, and the word was with God. So that's talking about Yahweh Shai. He is the firstborn of every creature. The law is the firstborn. Yahweh Shai is the firstborn. For by him, by Yahweh Shai, by the law were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, invisible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him. Understand that. So let's go back to 2nd Ezra. He says, and yet, so he says, you gave us the law. He said, and yet thou tookest thou not away from them a wicked heart. He gave you the law, but he didn't take away your tendency and your inclination to do sin. Why? He said that the law might bring forth fruit in them, so that his purpose from the beginning, so that the law could change you, so that Yahweh Shai could change you. Understand that, because if the only way the law can change you is if you fear God. What does it mean to fear God? The only way the law can change you is if you fear God. Let's go to Proverbs 8 and verse 13. It says, the fear of the Lord is to hate evil. So the only way you can change, the only way that you can keep the law is you got to hate evil. You got to hate that thing. And then you're going to do what God tells you to do, right? Let's go back to 2nd Ezra. He says, and yet tookest thou not away from them a wicked heart, that thy law might bring forth fruit in them. For the first Adam bearing a wicked heart transgressed. Adam the seed of evil to do the ability for Adam to sin was always there. It was always there in Adam. Understand that, because God don't want robots. He wants you to understand why he telling you to do what he telling you. Not just do it because I said so and I'm scared. I want you to understand what I'm asking you to do, and I want you to appreciate what I'm asking you to do. He said, for the first Adam bearing a wicked heart transgressed and was overcome, because that seed was there to do evil, and thus so be all they that are born of him. Thus infirmity was made permanent, and the law also in the heart of the people with the malignity of the root, so that the good departed away and the evil abode still. Meaning what? The ability for you to keep the law is there, but the choice for you to sin is also there, because you have to deliberately choose God over the devil. That's what he's saying. That's what Moses meant when he said, choose ye life. That's what he meant. God is saying, I want you to deliberately choose. The same accusation when Job let's go to Job real quick, because Job is representative of us, the Israelites. He represents us, right? Let's go to Job chapter 1. In verse 6, right? It says, now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. So understand, the devil answers to God. He don't do anything without the say-so of the Lord, the Most High God, Yahweh, right? The angels appeared before God, and Satan also appeared, because it was roll call time, right? It said, and the Lord said unto Satan, whence comest thou? Where you coming from, Satan? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. What you told me to do, that's what I've been doing, God. And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is no man, that there is none like him in the earth? He ain't saying, are you looking at Job? That ain't what he's saying. He like, Satan, have you thought about trying Job? I know he on point. That's what he's saying to Job, to the devil. You thought about trying Job? I know he right. I don't know if you can get him to go off. That's what he's saying. A perfect and upright man, one that fears God, one that hate evil and escheweth evil. That's what that means. He said it in the same sentence. To fear God is to escheweth evil, to hate evil. Then Satan answered the Lord and said, so understand, Job represents us. He represents us. Understand? So God says, I know that the Israelites can keep the law if they want to keep the law, right? It says, then Satan answered the Lord and said, does Job fear God for naught? Is he serving you for nothing? That's what he's saying. Do the Israelites worship you for nothing? They only worship you for what you gonna get them, right? Go ahead, Eleazar.
Hey, that's mighty, man. That's a fact. Job is typified as us, because it could be seen like you could be doing good, man. Everything could be going all good, and then it just all go bad. And maybe that could be the case. The Lord, like, well, have you considered Eleazar? You know, maybe the Lord brought our name up. Maybe that's why we catch it. But that's mighty. That's a mighty point.
When you doing good, your name sliding across Satan's desk at that point. Once you find yourself understanding this Bible and you get yourself in a habit of study, your name is coming across Satan's desk. He don't want everybody in the world. He got them already. So understand what's going on. He said, then Satan answered the Lord and said, does Job fear God for naught? Has not thou made a hedge about him and about his house and about all that he have on every side? Ain't you protecting him? Soon as you take that protection down, he gonna curse you. He said, thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. The same way Adam was. Adam's job was to till the garden, to till the earth, to make sure that the earth was growing, to name the animals. He wasn't bothered. The same way this is how he thought. I'm telling you, the devil think this is the way he thinks about each and every one of the servants of the Most High. All right, he says, thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thy hand now and touch all that he hath. Take away what he got, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, behold, all that he had is in thy power, meaning you can take away whatever you want from him. Only upon himself put not forth thy hand. Don't kill him. You can't kill him, but you can touch him. You can take his health. You can take away his substance. You just can't kill him. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. So let's go back. That's what he's saying right here. He's saying that thus the infirmity, verse 22, thus the infirmity was made permanent. Because sin is a sickness. The ability to sin was made permanent. And the law also, meaning what? We still had the law. You still had the ability to understand. Let's go real quick to Romans. It says, thus the infirmity was made permanent, and the law also in the heart of the people. What does that mean? Paul said it. Paul understood it. Let's go to Romans chapter 8. Hold on real quick. Is it 8 or 7 on one? 1 second. Nah, it's 7. Right? Verse 8. Romans chapter 7 and verse 7 where we'll start. It says, what shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid. Of course not. There's nothing wrong with the law. Keeping the law is not gonna make you sin. Nay, I had not known sin but by the law. For I had not known lust except the law has said, thou shalt not covet. He said, but sin. So he said, look, I wouldn't have known when I was in sin if it weren't for the law. Right? He said, but sin taking occasion by the commandment, meaning once the sin was revealed, once the sin in me was revealed, when I learned the commandments, because you don't know if you in sin unless you know the commandments. That's the choice the Lord has always wanted us to make. He wanted us to look at the commandments and look at ourselves and say, I need to change because this is better for me than what I'm doing. It says, but sin taking occasion by the commandment wrought in me all manner of concupiscence. Meaning what? When I looked at these laws, that's what Paul is saying. When I looked at the law, I realized I was in all type of lust. I was dealing with all type of lust. He say, for without law, sin is dead. Meaning without the law, I don't know that I'm in sin. That's what he's saying. So when you go back to 2 Ezra chapter 3, he said, but for the first Adam bearing a wicked heart transgressed and was overcome. And so be all they that are born of him. Thus infirmity was made permanent. You always gonna have the ability to sin. It says, and the law also, but you also got the ability to keep the law in the heart of the people with the malignity of the root. You still got the ability to be perfect, even though that root of sin is still lingering in you, so that the good departed away and the evil abode still. That's what happened to us over process of time. He says, so the times passed away and the years were brought to an end. Then thou didst rise up thy servant called David, right? Saul and David represent the good and the bad in Israel. Saul being the bad and David being the good. David made a mistake, but the mistake that David made wasn't to destroy him. It was to make him realize that he needed to rely on God. That's what we supposed to be doing now. To make David realize, look, I can't do this without you. I got to pray every morning. I got to study every day. I got to look and seek your face in my affliction. That's why a lot of time, that's why we at the base of society. That's why the Lord put us under these curses And that's why we don't just have it all. That's why you have to go to the Lord and ask for what you need, because you can't handle what you're going to get in the future until you realize you need God, right? So let's go back. So let's go back to James. So let's look more into your inheritance that the Lord got for you, right? He says, verse 5, hearken, my beloved brethren, have not God chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith, and heirs of the kingdom, which he have promised to them that love him, promised to them that are willing to keep these commandments, right? So that's you heirs to the kingdom. That's your ultimate blessing. Not having a big house or a nice car. Your ultimate blessing is getting the kingdom, right? That's why Yahweh Shah said, you going through it right now, but you rich. All the promises in this Bible are for you. If you an Israelite and you keeping these commandments, they for you, right? Not the material things. Let's go to Sirach real quick. Sirach chapter 31 and verse number 6. It says, gold hath been the ruin of many, right? And their destruction was present. It is a stumbling block unto them that sacrifice unto it. Sacrifice what? Sacrifice keeping these laws to get that dollar. It's a stumbling block. All right, it says, and every fool shall be taken therewith, meaning you're going to lose out on your real inheritance. Gold is a stumbling block. It's been the ruin of many. They're going to work on the Sabbath, even though the law say don't work on the Sabbath, just to get that extra money, because they feel like they don't trust the Lord. So your ultimate goal ain't got nothing to do with this world, right? Let's go to John, 1 John. Your ultimate blessing has nothing to do with this world. 1 John chapter 2 and verse 17, it says, and the world passeth away, and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of God abideth forever. This is your blessing. This is the blessing that you've been promised a long time ago. You just got to reach out and take hold of it. How you going to do that? Right? Let's go to Psalms. Psalms chapter 2. And verse number 8. It says, ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thy inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. So the Lord want to give you the world, not just the block, not just a job, not just a house. That's nothing compared to what the Lord want to give you. He said, you just got to ask of me. Ask me to show you. And you do that by opening up this Bible. You do that by going and seeking counsel from brothers and sisters that been in this truth longer than you, that's got experience, from gathering yourselves together. That's how you ask of him, because he put us in your life to be able to show you what the Most High wants you to do. That's the purpose of these classes. Let's go to Romans real quick. Romans chapter 8 and verse number 16. It says, for the Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit. The Bible is the Spirit. It says let's get it real quick. Somebody might not know. Let's go to John. It said the Spirit itself bear witness with our spirit. What does that mean? What's the Spirit? John chapter 6 and verse 63. It says, it is the Spirit that quickeneth. The Spirit makes you alive. The flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. So the words that Yahweh Shah spoke is the Spirit. What words did he speak? Let's jump over to John, John chapter 7. He said, the words that I speak are spirit, right? John 7 and 16, he said, Yahweh Shah, Jesus answered them and said, my doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. So Yahweh Shah didn't speak his own words. He spoke God's words, which is the law, which is the commandments, the Bible, right? So let's go back to Romans. It says the Spirit. So now we know what the Spirit is. The Spirit, the Bible itself bear witness with our spirit, meaning when you read this Bible, your spirit is in agreement with it. right? You don't disagree with nothing this Bible say. What does that mean? It says that we are the children of God. That's how you know that you a child of God. If your spirit agree with everything in this Bible, if your spirit don't sit right with the Bible, that's why I don't argue with people on the streets when we teach no more. They say they don't believe in the Bible. They don't want to learn. Go on about your day, because this ain't for you. If it's for you, you gonna agree with it. Your spirit ain't gonna fight against it. That don't mean you still doing some wrong things. A person can repent and come out of their sins. They could still be a child. That mean they could still be a child of God. When you refuse to repent, when you refuse to hear what this Bible say, you're not a child of God. So it says the spirit itself bear witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. And if children, then heirs of God and joint heirs with Yahushua. If so be we that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together. So in this walk, you got to understand, you're going to lose some stuff. It ain't going to just be all good all the time. You got to bear witness. That's why I say your spirit got to bear witness with the spirit, because Yahushua already said you're going to lose some stuff already. Let's go real quick to Matthew chapter 19. You're going to lose some things, but that don't mean the Lord don't love you. Matthew chapter 19 and verse 29, it says, and everyone that have forsaken houses or brethren or sisters or father or mother or wife or children or lands for my name's sake shall receive 100-fold and shall inherit everlasting life. So he telling you, look, you're going to lose some stuff. I'm going to provide for you, but you also going to lose some stuff. But that means that you're going to inherit an everlasting life, the real blessing. You're supposed to lose all this stuff that we see so that you can get your real blessing. You can't take this with you. This ain't going. We're going to have to, the whole earth going to get rebuilt again by the heathen. It says, but many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first. So you got to ask yourself, are you willing to lose it all to gain it all? You willing to lose it all to gain everything? Right? You heirs to the promise, but you got to do what God said do. All right, let's go to 1 Peter. Salaki. 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse number 7. All right, it says, likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge. So if you're married, dwell with your wife according to knowledge. Teach her what this Bible say. You understand? Don't try to use this deceitfully. The Lord will hold you to that. It says, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife. Why? As the weaker vessel. She ain't as strong as you, so you got to help her. Right? It says, and as being heirs together, because they going to rule with us. They going to rule this earth with us. So you got to build a spirit up too, as you build in your spirit. Right? You gotta study the Bible together. It says being heirs together of the grace of life, everlasting life, that your prayers be not hindered. So if you married, brother, you can't dwell with your wife deceitfully. You can't try to use this book deceitfully. You got to dwell with her according to knowledge so that your prayers ain't hindered, because she an heir too. She's a child of God too, through you. Understand that? It says, let's go to Hebrews real quick. So you got to teach your people. You got to teach your household. Hebrews chapter 1 and verse 14. It says, I'm going to start at verse 13. It says, but to which of the angels said he at any time, sit on my right hand until I make thy enemies thy footstool? He never told any of the angels that but Yahushua. He said, are they all not ministering spirits? Meaning these angels are here to serve you. That's part of your inheritance as a child of God. Sit forth to minister for them that shall be heirs of salvation. That's you Israelites. The angels that are at your beck and call. So I'm literally reading to you the will of the Father. Like if a father wrote a will to give to his children, that's literally what I'm reading to you. You're going to inherit the nations, and you're going to inherit the world. You're going to inherit the angels because they created for you. They created for you, right? Let's go to Revelation real quick. I'm gonna read to you your inheritance, man, because it's for you. Revelation chapter 3 and verse, let me see. Revelation chapter 2 and verse number 25. Right? It says, but that which ye have already, hold fast till I come. This is what you have already. Don't be worrying about these other books. The Most High already gave you enough. Don't worry about no lost books, none of that. He gave you enough of what you need in these last days to be able to get to the kingdom, to be able to get your inheritance. He said, but that which you have already, hold fast till I come. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron. As vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father. It says, and I will give him the morning star. Man, that thing heavy, meaning you're going to have all understanding. That's what's in store for you. He that have an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. So that's what's in stake for you, brother, sister. All the nations going to answer to you. That's what the Lord got reserved for you. Let me see something real quick. Let's go to 2nd Ezra. 2nd Ezra chapter 4 and verse number 27. Watch this. This what's in store for you. This is your blessing. So you got to hold on the same way Jacob was holding on to that angel until he got his blessing. You got to hold on to God until you get what's promised to you. That's what we got to do. Right? He says, he's verse 26, he says, then he answered me and said, the more thou searchest, the more thou shalt marvel. Meaning what? The more you read this Bible, the more you're going to be blown away. And you can't, it's the only book you can read cover to cover and you can never finish it. You can never finish it. He said, the more thou searchest, the more thou shalt marvel. For the world hasteth fast to pass away. We are almost there. Right? He said, and cannot comprehend the things that are promised to the righteous. That's why they still in the world. That's why your homegirl don't want to come to Bible study. That's why your homeboy still want to smoke weed. The world can't comprehend the things that are promised to the righteous in time to come. For this world is full of unrighteousness and infirmities. It's full of sickness and sin. The world promote, there literally are buildings where you can go into and you can kill your baby and they'll call it an abortion. And you got to pay for it. This, I think some of them might even do it free. There are literally buildings that'll do this, but it's almost against the law for us to go out and teach this Bible. We almost at that point. This world is full of unrighteousness and infirmities, right? Go to Isaiah now. Isaiah chapter 64. The Lord got so much promise for you, you just got to get there. And this is how you get there. Isaiah chapter 64 and verse number 4. It says, for since the beginning of the world, men have not heard, nor perceived by the ear, neither have the eye seen, O God, beside thee, what he hath prepared for them, for him that waiteth for him. All we got to do is wait on the Lord, man. We can't imagine, like that movie with Black Panther. Everybody was blown away when they seen Wakanda, when they seen how beautiful it was. We could imagine that, but we can't imagine what the Most High got for us. Your mind can't put it into perception, right? Your mind can't imagine that, right? Let's go real quick back to 2nd Ezra. Let's jump over to chapter 5. And verse 40. It says, then he said unto me, like as thou canst not do none of these things. So what he did was he asked Ezra, he said, look, I want you to weigh fire. I want you to call back the day that has passed already. All right. He said the same way you can't do none of these things. That's what he's saying. Then he said unto me, like as thou canst not do none of these things that I have spoken, even so canst thou not find out my judgment, or in the end, the love that I have promised unto my people. So you can't imagine it. The same way if the Lord said, get some fire and weigh it, measure me the blast of wind, call back a day from yesterday. He like, all of these things you familiar with, you've experienced them. You can't get through life without none of them. Right? He said the same way you can't do that is the same way you can't imagine the love that the Most High has, that he got promised to them that love him, to the people that want to keep these commandments. So that's your inheritance, brothers and sisters. That's how you, it's a small thing for the Lord to give you the things that you need right now. A lot of y'all willing to sin to get things that you think you need in this life. A lot of you willing to sin for a small matter. Right? Let's get that real quick. I think it's in Sirach, chapter 31. Let me see. Hold on real quick. Chapter 27 and verse 1. All right, it says, many have sinned for a small matter, and he that seeketh for abundance will turn his eyes away. Turn his eyes from what? The law. Many people sinning for small, but everything in this life is a small matter compared to what you got waiting on you. That's what you got to understand. You literally gonna rule the world. He made the world for your sake. You just got to get there. And the way you get there is by understanding that you have to rely on the Most High. You need him. He wants you to understand that you need the law, not loathe the law. Oh, man, I really wish I could fornicate. I really wish I could just eat whatever I want to eat, but I'm gonna not do it. You still ain't got it if you thinking that way. He wants you to understand that the law is the only way to live. That's the only way of life. All right. The instructions for life. So that's the end of the class. Most High willing, this was edifying. Pray that you all got something out of it. That's how you get your blessing. Hold on to get your blessing. Not a material blessing, but a real blessing. The blessings from the Most High. Everlasting life. All right. So all praises to the Most High. And Most High willing, I see y'all back for class. We're working out some things right now. Usually we have classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and rearranging some things. And but as of now, we're just gonna have classes on Sunday. All right, so Sundays at 7 p.m. If anything changes, I'll be sure to let everybody know on the next Bible study. So until then, I pray that y'all are able to apply what you learn in the scriptures. And with that, I'm gonna say shalom, y'all. Shalom.